Hello, everybody. My name is Faisal Dimble, and this presentation is for my cyber operations class, Cyber 442-50. This course is taking place at Metro State University, with my professor being Alex Hepp. This FYI that my camera is here, but my monitor is here. I am recording over here with my laptop. This laptop is not functional enough to display or share screen. It is a slow laptop. And so I'll be using this for a camera because my monitor does not have a camera. So with that being said, let's get into the presentation. Just a full disclaimer that this video is for educational purposes only. All demonstrations are done legally within TryHackMe's lab environment. I do not promote or condone unethical hacking or illegal cyber activities. Everything shown is meant to support cybersecurity learning. All right. So my proposal was inside the mind of a pen tester, penetration tester. Um, but this one specifically is going to be the mindset over the tools being used. Even though I will be going over some tools, the main idea is going to be the mindset behind it. All right. Um, what this presentation covers. This presentation focuses on the mindset behind pen testing, and the penetration tester. Um, Not just the technical steps, but how we think through problems. Um, I'll be walking through a TryHackMe machine called Kenobi, showing how I break down each phase of an attack from uh, enumeration to exploitation and decision I make along the ways. Above all of this, I will love to emphasize that thinking is more important than tools. That's what this is really about. This whole presentation and videos about thinking being more important than the mindset. So, why mindset matters? Um, there are tons of tools out there. For example, you have Nmap, you have Metasploit, you have GoBuster, so on and so forth. But the tools alone don't make you a good pen tester. What separates a skilled hacker from someone just running scripts is their mindset and the way they think. The best pen testers usually ask questions like, "What am I not seeing yet? What is the system assuming I won't do?" Just kind of thinking outside the box, trying to break in and yeah. So this kind of thinking is what leads to breakthroughs essentially, and that's what I'll be demonstrating in this presentation. All right. So tools used, and I bracketed support only because it's not the main focus. It's just to support and further explain my argument. So I'll be using tools, but yeah, it's just not to replace the thinking. It's just there to support. Nmap, just for scanning open ports and services. So on, you have GoBuster, Netcat. You have my TryHackMe lab as well at the very bottom. And so yeah, all these do different things. You could use some to brute force, to establish reverse shells, to identify privilege. And yeah, so why I chose Kenobi personally. Um, there were a lot of others I could use. I could just use a simple virtual machine if I needed to. And so I chose this because I believe it strikes a great balance. It's beginning friendly, but it still teaches real world skills, meaning it's easy to learn and digest and actually understand. This room includes SMB and FTP, enumeration, privilege escalation, challenge through vulnerable SUID binary, user and root flag retrieval as well. So essentially, this idea is for this type of walkthrough because it rewards you for thinking laterally, following small clues and connecting them step by step. Right. All right, so this is basically my process. I just wrote it down for y'all to see and how I'm basically going to approach this lab. Um, so I'll start broad, essentially, with full enumeration. looking at open ports, just basic services, versions, and anything unusual initially. Then I'm kind of gonna zoom in to get the bigger picture on anything that stands out, like SMB on a Linux box. Um, I'll also make notes as I go and use each clue to decide my next step, essentially. This entire process is built on logic, not just the tools. What I'll be thinking throughout what I'm going to be thinking throughout this whole thing essentially. So while working through this lab, I'll be consistently asking questions like why is this like the service exposed? What could go wrong with this configuration? What mistakes might a sysadmin have made here? These kinds of questions help me uncover vulnerabilities without jumping straight to um, Google or a exploit database. Um, what I hope people, whoever's watching, take from this is tools are everywhere. I mean, you could use different tools for the same thing, but the ability to think through a system is what makes you effective. Penetration testing isn't about rushing. It's about observing, connecting the dots, and staying curious, knowing that anything could happen and anything could go left at any time. Small clues, when followed carefully, can lead to root access. Basically, slower and patient is better than just rushing yourself and just going fast. Um, why this matters in cybersecurity? Um, this mindset isn't just helpful for attacks, but it's just as valuable for defenders as well. If you understand how attackers think, you can spot the weaknesses. You can spot weak like assumptions in systems. You can write more secure code, and respond to incidents faster and smarter. So basically, just to round everything that I just said in that, even though it was quick, kind of thinking makes everyone in cybersecurity better. It's not just pen testing specifically, even though you do need it in pen testing. It can be used anywhere and everywhere in cybersecurity, regardless of your role. All right. And this is just basically the end of the PowerPoint. So the presentation, the PowerPoint, just the setup of everything, just kind of giving you the understanding of what to expect in the video. Um, I kind of wrote down the requirements for what I kind of needed to do, even though yeah, I do not need to see this. The full project is just a hands-on video, so the hands-on comes after this. I'll be recording, and the recording is gonna be 15 to 20. 10 or 8 to 9 is gonna be this. The rest is gonna be there, and I plan to make it about 19 to 20 minutes. Um, I'll narrate everything, talk you through the whole process on TryHackMe. And yeah, everything is going to be linked on YouTube. So, all right, everybody, we are back. So we are at the lab part currently, and I will be using this room, just FYI. I'll be using this room as a to guide my approach. I'm not following the questions. I'm using the tools a little bit. And so I'm just using the environment to demonstrate purposes, but for demonstration purposes, but thinking through it as if it were a real world engagement. So let me open terminal one moment. So the first thing I'm going to do here is because this is a mindset thing over tools, I will be using these tools for support. Um, I'm going to scan the machine using Nmap, and I will be using the command Nmap SVA with the I believe it. So I'll be using this IP because it's the virtual machine on TryHackMe target IP address. While that's loading up, the reason I'm using dot dash SV and dash A, dash SV enables version detection and it identifies what servers are running. And dash A enables OS detection, script scanning, and trace route. Um, so just to add on, I know it's loaded. So some people might go the default route and just default scan or just top 1,000 ports, but I like to get a complete picture. That's a big part of the mindset and my mindset specifically, certainly. Don't assume that the default will always be enough. In real world scenarios, important services can be running on uncommon ports. And so looking here, let's see what we find. Let me scroll up. So we have port 21, um, FTP, SSH. Just for future reference, I would like you guys to remember this part, port 21. So we found good ports 21, 22. We see 111 RPC. We see um 139, 445 SMB, which is going to be this one, the SMB gets my attention because it can leak information or allow anonymous access if not properly secured. So with all of that information, I will like to use SMB client. Just making sure y'all hear me. So I'll be using SMB client. Just let me. Nope, I did that wrong. .10.67.210. And as you can see, my first I used N just to just tells if not to ask for the password basically, and that's what N is used for. Um, and the fact that I got access of shares, that already tells me that the machine has anonymous SMB access enabled, which is a red flag in any environment. So that being said, because I see anonymous as a share, I will use that. SMB client. Um, what is 10.67.210 dash boom. So so I connected to the anonymous share. Now I'm gonna list. So I am just gonna do ls and we got log.txt. The thing is with log.txt, uh the thing that I find interesting is people see the file log.txt and just immediately it gets my attention because log files often contain useful metadata, usernames, process logs, so on and so forth. This useful information that a lot of people, I believe, just tend to skip. So using that, what I will do is I'm gonna use get log.txt. Um, with all of that, so I use Git to download it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out to use the cat command and you just examine here. Do be thorough, look through everything, and I'll just try to be really quick here, see what I can find. Um, user FTP. So here, user Kenobi, group Kenobi. Um, so this is what I see inside the file. It gives me a valid local user. I don't know the password yet because the one piece of information can be incredibly useful later. And with that being said, I will go back to the Nmap results. And so earlier, what I told you to remember on port 21 was running Pro FT PD 1.3.5. So I look up the service version online and quickly um, find that is vulnerable to a known mod underscore copy exploit, which allows attackers to copy files if mod copy is enabled. Now, here's why thinking matters again. Just because a service is vulnerable doesn't mean I exploit it blindly. I take a step back and I would think, or anybody would, is this exploit enabled by default? Or is mod copy, mod underscore copy actually configured on the server? Um, would using this be noisy in a real pen test? So when you think you note the possible vulnerabilities, I mean, you would note the possible vulnerabilities in that report or in my report for this example, but I keep exploring. Um, One thing that I'd like to talk about is things not to do. Um, because at this point you have a valid user, which is Kenobi, SMB access with log.txt, and potentially vulnerable FTP service. Um, what I don't have is a password Kenobi. So trying SSH Kenobi at the IP, just trying SSH into it would be premature. Um, but I know a lot of people would be tempted to brute force, but that's not only unethical without permission, it's inefficient in a real-world pen test. You document the findings and move on unless credentials are obtained legally. Um, so I will stop here for now, only because um, this is a mindset rather than exploitation assignment for me. Um, but oh, I'm stopping here. I didn't get root. I didn't break into SSH, but that's not the point of this walkthrough. This is about understanding how the pen testing thinker works. So you don't rush, you don't rush, you read and analyze. You ask what's unusual, what's weak. You document every finding. With that, all that being said, my biggest takeaway is that penetration testing is more about the way you think than the tools you use. You could use hundreds of tools. There's different tools that do the same thing. There's different commands that do the same thing. There's always going to be tools to get what you want, but you're not going to find people that actually like or think. If you think well about it, if you actually examine the little things, the hints, the clues, um, you'll be extremely good. A smart tester knows what to do with the information, the small hints and the clues they find. Even if it's just a leaked username, that can be a big thing if you have a smart individual that knows what they're doing. Maybe a few hints can build up, and next thing you know, you have all the information you need. But yeah, even if you just read a leaked username or misconfigured share. So with that being said, I'd like to close off. I know I'm on 18 minutes. Thank you for watching all, and I hope to help you understand the process better. And I hope this on-hand lab actually demonstrated everything that you needed to know. Thank you.